3, 2. Hello, Shadowrun. Yeah, Jonas, take it away.
Yeah, we're here. It's Shadowrun time. It's time to run the shadows. And
Yes.
what a team of Shadowrunners we have. And what a fantastic DM we have. This cannot be better, surely.
Surely not.
Surely not. Yeah, welcome to our first ever session of Shadowrun Karma in the Dark. The game of Shadowrun using the Knife in the Dark system. Because we
Blades
love...
in the dark.
Oh, whatever. It's in development, and you can probably kickstart or whatever, do something for it. But
It's already done.
it's
Buy it.
Well, there you go. So we love Shadowrun, but we hate the rules, and this is a compromise.
Yes.
And Manaki said that this is amazing, and we believe him. So here we are. We are going to play this, and we're gonna die or succeed. And
little did they know. Huh? Anyone knows the system? Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, I sent you all a campaign start document with also little descriptions of every room in this little building here. And I think, just for the sake of those who might not have had time to read it, and maybe also for the viewers, I could read up sort of the little page of actual introduction. But I don't know if we want to do that before or after we introduce the characters.
We should probably introduce the characters first, I guess.
Yeah, sure, we could do that. So I think we should do it very cinematically. This is perhaps a flashback from the current situation, but we'll have that cool like intro music playing, right? And you have imagine it's like a TV series. So you have all those snapshots zooming in on people in the midst of doing something that's archetypical for them to do. You know? So if you could think of like a way in which your character could be shown as we take a look at them. Who wants to begin? Someone go ahead.
Still writing shit, so if I can go somewhere last.
Right. Well, Jonas, you go ahead. You will just go in the row that you are down there in the bottom there. I was thinking.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I am as always Rahal, also known as Jonas, because I've been outed so much now that no one cares anymore. But I will be playing Dr. Konrad Gottfried Ziegler. Well, he is many things. He is, first of all, male and in some mid to late 40s. He has been in wars. He has been on the forefront. He has seen the chaos, the destruction, grenades exploding, houses flying up in the air, maybe a dragon sometime, missiles, airplanes, airstrikes, drones and drones and drones. He was a doctor at a somewhat prestigious university once upon a time. But his constant breaking into the labs to gain access to the robotics and the special equipment that he needed made him impossible for the university to keep, and so he was kicked out. And just at that moment, the first Euro War broke out, and he was more or less conscripted and sent to the front to fight against the Russian invasion. So you would see him sitting working in the computer lab, the door flying open, people be like, and he'd be like, cursing, and then being thrown out, and then being drafted into the army, and then you see like bombs and grenades and trenches, and then you see him building in a ragged tent somewhere in a canyon, with the army camped around, like building his drones and maintaining the drones, being part of the engineering course, because that's what he was. He was in engineering, and a droner, or a rigger as it's called, expert in demolitions, expert in robotics, pretty good in field work, basically. Not much of a programmer, but when it comes to mechanical shit, he's your dude. The war sort of broke his spirit, I guess. He returned home a changed man. All the chaos, all the destruction. His wife didn't recognize him. He barely recognized her. He didn't feel anything anymore. bad things happened, and they're now divorced and not really friends at all, you could say. In fact, she's an enemy. But yeah, he didn't really have anywhere to turn. The corporations and the powers that be had chewed him up and spit him out, done with him, and he didn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. And so he burned his sin and went into hiding, trying to just get away from anything, trying to shut himself inside, work on his robots, his drones. The two friends he has left, according to him, and he has begun thinking that maybe, just maybe, he can make them come alive. Maybe AI is the answer. Yeah, that's Dr. Ziegler, getaway man, demolitions expert, roboticist, mechanical engineer, Shadowrunner.
Right. DDS.
In a dimly lit room of our safe house, well, dimly lit except for the bright glow of monitors and the lights of the servers, an insidious tapping can be heard. As sitting inside, a woman, late 20s, early 30s, she hasn't exactly said, sits typing away, fixated upon the screen. Blue highlights going through her hair. Or I am playing Ashley Rowlton, or AzureWeb, as her online alias is, and also a Shadowrunner alias now. She grew up in Berlin, and always has, which includes through the anarchist transition. And she herself was hit pretty bad by it. Her parents were anarchists. They were actually rather important ones. And, well, she was kind of thrown to the sidelines for her own protection when all this broke out and her parents had to flee. It has affected her quite a bit. Even as a kid, before all this happened, she was already a bit of a whiz kid on the computers. What she did, she enjoyed it. But then afterwards, she was on the street, having nowhere to go, nowhere to turn. She eventually fell into the gangs, the various groups. Wasn't the best time for her, but did a few things, toughened her up, made her realize and hone her skills some more. Even resulting in her getting a data jack installed, which she worked away. Constantly, though, she was never satisfied, never happy with it. Like, she was working in the gangs, but she wasn't really making any difference. No, she wants to be remembered. She doesn't want to be some corporate worker who does their job and disappears. And then she stumbled across something in her hunt for this glory. Perhaps a bit of data she shouldn't have gotten a hold of. And, well, she may have made some people madder as a result. Forcing her in a rather awkward situation to get rid of her sin. Make it hard for her to be tracked. She knew this wouldn't be an easy case for her. Disposing of the data, the online market, of course. She fled into the shadows. Still keeping some basic connections with her old gangs, though even that has been burned at this point. She may have accidentally sold one out to her girlfriend, who happens to be a cop. Is that sufficient?
Sure, but just to sum it up, what role are you playing?
I am playing the Decker of the group, the hacker and infiltrator.
Yes. Halldamir, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sufficiently amply prepared?
Yes, I'm here and
Take it away then.
typing. I am playing Thymara, Avalon, also known as Vice. You would see her lounging about in the lounge, not really doing a huge amount. She's a bit, looks a bit tired, and in the cinematic way, you can kind of roll back in time to like about 10 years ago when she was a corporate star, a pop star in a sense. That after a few years, like the corporation does, got her hooked on numerous drugs. And eventually, when she got too old and too drug-riddled, they tossed her aside like she was worth nothing. She was picked up by her old media producer, kept from, well, dying a horrible drug-riddled death. And to get her fix, she started getting into more and more debts, and eventually the guy she now works for wiped her sin for an exorbitant fee, and now she's working off that debt by Shadowrunning. She is the face of the group, quite literally. Yeah, pretty much it.
All right. Cat Cop.
I am gonna play Natsumi. She is a street samurai. She used to, well, she did try to become I forgot the real name. Oh no, I just remember it's the Red Samurai. She was a trainee with her whole family, which only was her and her parents were Red Samurais. Then she got the order to kill her parents because they failed the Reds. Natsumi, still being a trainee, could not do the order. There was still some feelings left in her. Chose instead to try to save her parents. And when the Reds heard that she had failed to do her mission, they sent another samurai. The samurai killed her parents and left Ran for basically death. Then this man, who is a company man called, let's see, Landis. He had worked with the Reds, saw his opportunity when he heard what had happened, to take Natsumi as his his own weapon to protect himself. But Ran did not agree to his ethics, and he asked for more than she could ever give, and she escaped from him, and since then has worked as a Shadowrunner to get the money and information to get back at the leader of the Reds, Hanzo Itsuki, who gave the order to kill her parents. She does have a friend, called Chantel, that she's been running with. Chantel used to be a cop, but she didn't play it by the books, and Ran actually just helped her with it when they heard some guy had been let go because he had the money or the information, so he didn't have to be prosecuted. Ran and Chantel just went to his place and did the job themselves. When Chantel was found out, she was fired as a cop. Ran still to this day feels like it was her fault. She should have kept Chantel on the line, not to let her become like her. But Chantel is still best friends with Ran and still meet sometime. Ran Shadowrun name is True Warrior. That's what her father called her. Not warrior, just True, because True is loyalty. And it's from a story that she was told as a kid about a true warrior who was given a mission, but was saved by a family, and with this came his loyalty was given to them, because if he left, his family would be killed. So he saw his loyalty had been shifted to the family instead of his queen. And Rand saw it to be very poetic that she took the name True Warrior, because that is exactly what she ended up doing.
Yeah. A diverse group of people, certain. We see you now here in this building, trying to make yourself at home, but you haven't really been here for that long. I will now read the introduction for you. You've probably heard that before, since you probably read it yourselves, but here's it again. Most fixers in Shadowrun have an A team and a B team. Some keep a C team around as a backup just in case. And 3 days ago, you were Mr. Hoshinara's D team. The money you got from the work was little enough for you to live off of, and often enough, Mr. Hoshinara had to show up to the filthy, dirty flophouse you called home with a box of leftover, close to expiration date supplies. Breaking into the shadows is never easy. You have no reputation to speak of, and few connections to any people who matter. You're corporate cannon fodder, and Mr. Hoshinara has kept you as his spare ammunition. 3 days ago, the slick black car drove up to the flophouse, and Mr. Hoshinara's huge troll manservant opened the slick door to let him step out. Mr. Hoshinara is in his early 60s, Japanese and proud of it, the very image of a self-made man. Rumor has it that he made it big in the Yakuza when he was young, and he still carries a blade with him wherever he goes. His entrance was as always cordial, calling out for you to gather as if you were his grandchildren. Immediately, though, you noticed that something was wrong. He smelled like cheap perfume, expensive cigars. Not the usual smell of old man and oriental tea leaves. He informed you that he had reconsidered your current employment. He wanted to give you a chance to make a name for yourself. You were to be his new A-team, and without explanation, he left you with an address, a key, and the order to go make yourselves at home. The address is in one of the dirtier parts of West Berlin, Draco Foundation territory. It appears as an old service entrance to a building block, but when you open the locked door and enter it, it is quite a different sight. It looks like a very lived-in, old underground club, and is just down a flight of stairs. Exploring the place yields clear signs that someone has lived here recently as a week ago. It also shows that they had indeed intended to come back to this place. There are no signs of them, nor of what reason they might have had not to return. The place has a small armory, a workshop with some broken weapons mods, a bar turned kitchen, an old dance floor turned common room, a few personal spaces, as a well-cleaned and neon-lit bathroom, and finally a DJ booth where the music systems have been enhanced with several large servers, cables, and improvised electronics. A few days of time searching and digging around does yield a few answers. The computer systems seem very advanced and are highly encrypted. Upon breaking into the system, you learn that this console was owned by the Dagger calling himself Fragmeister. From the height of his table, it is clear that he was a dwarf. Further information would take time to extract. And right now, well, it turns out you have a lot of things to do. Mr. Hoshinara sent you a message on Fragmeister's computer systems. The screen flared up and informed whoever looked at it that a message had arrived from Mr. Hoshinara. He informed you that he would contact you here from now on. He also had a job for you, this time a real job. You were to go into a conference building and deliver a box, allegedly filled with drugs, to a keynote speaker called Klaus Müller. The box was to be delivered to his room 4 minutes past midnight, after the conference had closed. Your plan worked. You got in without security noticing you, you delivered the box to the elderly scientist, and you did it at exactly the requested time. Here you are right now, at this moment, turning around in surprise as the door to Klaus Müller's room is thrown off the hinges by a powerful explosion, from where you just minutes earlier left it on his nightstand. You're a team of Shadowrunners, and you're about to learn what happens when a run goes bad.
This is not part of my contract.
And that is indeed where we start. You're in a hallway. It is made of wood primarily. There are some cameras in the corners. There's an elevator at the end of the hallway and a set of stairs. Right now, you're at the last door in the hallway. I will make a slight sketch here so you can get an idea of what the area looks like. You have a hallway here. There's an elevator here and a set of stairs next to it, perpendicular to it. Here, there are rooms and such. Over here, there's a window to the outside this way. Right now, this area here has been, well, there's a smashed door, there's smoke, and you can hear the fire alarm, and in just a second, the sprinkler system is going to begin spraying water absolutely everywhere. You hear noises from the other rooms. People are certainly moving about.
And we were here?
You are here. In the room outside, or in the hallway outside the room.
We basically blew up one of these rooms.
You went into the room, put it on the nightstand, and left.
What room did we went into? This one?
This one.
Okay. So the room we just came out from basically blew up.
Yes.
Okay.
Had you been a minute slower, that would probably have blown you up.
Okay.
Frack.
Do we hear boots or like charging?
Right now you hear a loud screaming alarm and the sound of water rushing from the ceiling, just splashing everywhere. You hear commotion from the rooms as people panically are stumbling out of their beds due to the explosion that just happened. There certainly is a moment of panic. It doesn't seem like people know that it's been what's going on right now. However, very soon there are most definitely going to be people.
How about
the camera in the corner here is looking like down the way, and someone is most likely staring at it, a screen somewhere, and grabbing a telephone in his hand.
We have to move.
Let's make like the name of the system and Shadowrun.
This would be because this is our first session. I'm going to help you all up with the rules. Because this would be a time where your decker, for example. Now we don't know what happened, what your plan was to get in here, and you have the freedom to sort of decide it. In this system, there is the idea that your characters have already planned for things and that you've already done things. For example, if your decker was to decided at this point, say there's a flashback where we see her turning off the camera systems, that is something you could have done, for example. That would then cost you a set of karma, your little currency, and in return, we would then see how well you disabled the cameras.
I think that sounds like something indeed that AzureWeb would try.
Right. So now you describe to me. You interrupt me and describe to me what the scene looks like, what the flashback looks like. As we pan up to look at the camera, everyone looks at it nervously.
No worries. It's it's not going to work, I think. As going back, actually, we had scouted out the building. We knew what was coming. We had plans ahead for this. She had been looking over the schematics we had found, the various blueprints where we needed to go, and seen the camera systems installed. So with that, she took the advantage. She headed out to a nearby location to it, just kind of nearby, an alley, close enough that she could get a remote connection. These places always have things left. Where she sat down and got to work. She does after all have a cyber deck with her. You need to for this, of course. And began furiously typing away, doing the best she could to try and assault the system and keep everything offline. Or so I hope.
All right. That sounds like something that is somewhat complicated to do. It is not very difficult, but it does have some steps to it, finding schematics and the like. So I think that would cost 2 karma.
Okay.
And then you will make your roll, and we'll see. This is you can have done it. There's not a risk involved, so we'll simply see how well you managed to disable the cameras. There's no particular ice protecting them.
Okay. Would you say just roll my electronics then for this?
Sure.
Okay. In which case, 2D.
All right. So as you look up to the camera, you see that the camera has instead of like showing the black lens, it is like the red light is blinking, meaning that it has been requested. Someone's trying to look through it, basically, but it is simply to that person returning an error message saying that it is out of operation. You got a 5, which means that yes, you did disable the camera. The 5 has a complication to it, which means that it is out of operations, and there'll probably be someone here to look at it soon enough, though they won't really know what they're expecting.
I think I've got a bigger issue with the building exploding. So.
Yes, there seems to be no fire. It doesn't seem to have been incendiary. It doesn't seem to be spreading. But time certainly is of the essence.
Well, if time is of the essence, we need to move. I am not particularly fond of facing whatever blew that room up. Would Ziegler have an idea? Like, was that a grenade launcher, or what actually hit the room? What do you think?
Sure. As he sort of maybe looks a bit at the explosion, it seems that it was directed from the place where you left the box. Perhaps that wasn't drugs inside of it.
Okay. Yeah. And he will look at his watch at this point. How were we any early, or were we on the dot for delivering that box?
It seems that you were on the dot.
He curses under his breath.
Set up.
Maybe we need to move. This whole building will be awake in a few minutes.
You see the light on the little elevator showing that the elevator is on the way up. It's a fairly tall building, about 6 floors. So you'll have basically like half a minute for it to actually come up here.
The stairs?
Stairs. Should never take the elevator while a building's on fire.
We'll go the stairs.
That is a really good point.
Right.
Also, it could possibly lock the elevator on us. So
as you begin to move to the stairs, you basically you can move there if you want.
Where's this?
There's no one contesting it. It's this here. This is the elevator. As the elevator comes up and you duck in to the stairway, you see down the light is on. It's a very sort of white, pale light. It's a nice enough conference building. The security here is mostly based on drones, sort of keeping track on the outside. There probably is some people controlling them somewhere. As you run out, you basically almost run into a troll in a bathrobe that seems to have been walking up the stair to take a look at what's up here.
This might be a chance for
Good.
us to do something.
Yeah, could be FaceTime.
Everyone look at Halddamir's character.
Sure.
This is a time where I will highlight another thing you can do, though you might not want to in this situation. Whenever I describe something, you can always attempt, or the idea is at least, you can attempt to resist it. Basically, if you think that this is not something you think would happen, because your characters would not be in such a hurry or such a rush, basically they're good at keeping their calm, at being present in the moment. So they would not just rush in the stairs and see and like run into someone there. They would have had advanced notice that someone was there. Then you would say, well, for example, I am having really good presence. I'm calm and collected. I wouldn't have rushed. I would have stopped the others and taken a look first. Which means that basically we retcon it. You took a look first. You see the guy there. However, you would then roll, for this case, this argument at least, your presence dice and take 6 karma minus the highest one.
Right. Okay. That I was following you until the end there. 6 karma minus what?
Basically,
when you resist a roll, when you resist a consequence, generally, you generally do it to consequences. You roll your defense, your defense dice, in whatever makes sense for you to defend with. Right? You punched, it's probably your body. In this case, probably your presence, your calm of mind, your self-collectedness, your oversight of the situation. And then the highest die roll, you take the amount of basically the payment for resisting in this way is 6 karma minus whatever the highest die in that roll is, meaning you can take everything from a wide range of karma. You can take a lot or not so much, but the consequence is resisted no matter how much you take.
So in which case then I would roll 4 presence?
In this case, yes.
Okay.
Now this might not be a time you want to spend that karma on this.
just a guy in a bathrobe. I think we can handle it otherwise.
But I'm simply highlighting it so you know your options.
It depends on what our mission parameters were. Were it like get in and out?
You live in the box and leave. It was a very nice mission. A milk run, really.
The thing is, it exploded, so I don't think my mission parameters are off now.
No, it was more like, sometimes to be like, oh, get it in, don't kill anyone.
You're supposed to deliver it without letting people know that it's drugs, because the guy's very sensitive about that.
Clearly not.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, probably not worth it. And then like one troll.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right. Well, the guy basically has just put on his glasses. They're a little tilted. He seems like groggy with sleep as he just looks at you. And this is where I will ask you: what's your current load on your characters? How much gear did you bring for this mission? What do you look like right now?
Light load. In clothes that she can run in, basically.
Sure. The load is really all you have to supply.
Yeah. Light. That's all.
What about the rest of you?
The 3 that says out of light, is that how many items I can have on me?
Yes.
Then light.
All right.
I mean, this was supposed to be a discreet run, right? It's supposed to be just a milk job. So I think light sounds fitting for it as well.
All right.
Ziegler?
Well, I'm looking at my gear.
You don't have to select what it is, just how much of it you have.
Yeah.
Probably light them because I have Plank with me. He keeps 2 other things.
All right. Well, so I suppose he would look at you a little confused, perhaps not sure who you are, and says, "What happened? I heard there was an explosion sound. I came to help. Is everyone okay?"
It's just a fire, don't worry. I think maybe you
Fire.
should leave though. Yeah.
Fire,
Yeah.
we should run!
Looks at you. He doesn't seem panicked. Maybe he's too groggy, or maybe he's not used to being afraid of things. But there are people up there.
We checked the
Who
doors
are
that
you?
we could.
Every civilian has been told to leave the building. Can't do much about that.
But, so...
Gas leak, probably. Ziegler takes a deep inhale on his cigarette.
Think we should leave then?
Well, I mean, the building's on fire, so yeah.
All right then, I suppose. Sort of turns and says, "We have to make sure the others get out as well. There's some of them that are elderly."
Ziegler nods and says, yes, go back to your floor and we will take the next one.
Sure. He'll nod and he'll begin to go back to the floor and knock and hammer on doors with his large fist.
Yeah, we'll just pass
We'll
by.
just keep going.
At that moment, you hear the ding from above as the elevator arrives, and you hear a few booted feet move out. Though they don't seem to be in a particular rush, they sort of seem cautious. Perhaps the fact that the camera is broken and that an explosion happened has pinned off that something's going on, but they don't exactly know what.
Yeah, we keep going down.
We need a GTFO.
Yeah.
Sure, there are more people who are going to the stairs and like moving out and such. And you do hear as you're near basically the bottom, running down the stairs very fast, most likely, maybe even feigning panic. The sound of someone standing down there, basically saying, "Now form up, orderly movement. There's been an accident. Please do not panic." As you see, there's a few people gathered down there, basically at the base floor at the bottom of the stairs. He's lining people up in rows. He appears to have sort of a guard uniform, a blue uniform with a little star on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't be stuck in that. Ziegler will go to floor, like the floor above, like the second above floor, and be like, "Hey, in here." As he will open the door and duck in.
Sure, well,
Yeah.
Same
All right.
says.
I would
most
trust
of
your
the people on
judgment.
the second floor have probably made it down to be in the line right now, being taken out in orderly fashion.
What side of the building do we know the different apartments and windows face towards?
Right. Well, the apartment that exploded faced towards the back of the building. It really just shows like an alleyway down there. The area, the complex, has like a bit of a wall around it. So there would be a bit of a, if you think of jumping out the window, there'd be a bit of a jump to sort of make it out the window and over the little wall. If not, you would land on like the little almost little like park streak that is behind the windows here. People sort of can walk their dog without having to leave the premises. It is one of the dirtier part of town. People who sleep here generally are not the richest, want to be undercover, and do not really want to go outside too much. So the place has a little bit of a yard there, though it's very small.
So on the second floor, the drop will not be very dangerous, right?
Down into the yard? No. Flinging yourself out the window and over the little wall surrounding the complex? That could potentially have you a bad landing, or you could hit the wall, sort of jumping not hard enough.
How was the complex surrounded? If you say there's a yard, is it like a high fence or anything? How
there
was
is
the
a
exits?
concrete wall, basically. It goes about 2 meters, a little more. So the second story window is above it.
Mhm.
You simply have to jump a bit further than you normally would to get over it and then land on the other side to be out of the complex. The main area of the complex that is sort of yarded is the front. So there's about